All right. Welcome to the show tonight, everybody. We're live.
Hi.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hi,
There
Andy.
was there was no countdown this time for some reason.
Three, two.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight for the Psychic Life. As we've talked about this show before, it's just talking to psychics and mediums, and we have a lot of great discussions and talk about the projects that we're doing and what's going on with our metaphysical life. So we have Andy Benson.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining.
And our broadcast special person that helps us is Jackie Rae.
Hi, guys.
And tonight's guest is Londie Benson.
Well, hello there, everybody. Nice to see you.
Londie's a really great medium and friend, and we're so lucky to have her tonight in discussing about near-death experiences. She has a story as well as I have a story for myself and for my grandmother. And I think we're going to be talking about some of the other kind of extraordinary near death experiences that we know about. One of the ones that we'll talk about tonight is a very famous actress who actually passed away for 7 minutes and came back. If you don't know about that, it's Elizabeth Taylor and her experience on the other side and coming back. It's just very extraordinary, especially to have it kind of validated from people that are famous and reputable. Then we can really know that there's validation in this. So let's just do a little round table. Andy, what's kind of new in your life this week? What are you working on as far as your readings in the metaphysical field?
For me, it's been playing catch up, and well, I would consider things that are going on as kind of a transition period. So, of course, we're going to be finalizing the proof here shortly on our book, Little Book of Big Evil, and you'll show that. Debbie's got her copies. Mine are in the mail right now. There's just a few little things we're going to change on that. Just little fixes. And then also, what I'm doing is putting a tarot card deck together. And I was in the middle of getting it ordered last night. I had all the images ready to go. And I am missing 6 of the major arcana, uh, which is important. So the artist is going to send those to me tonight. So that's kind of the biggest things going on for me.
That's amazing that you're going to have your own tarot deck.
Yeah, it's more of a sketch. I was kind of in the sketch mood. However, it's a little kind of too similar to the Rider-Waite. So maybe down the road, we'll collaborate with something. I know we've discussed this, but those grand ideas, we kind of like to keep them to ourselves until they're ready to, put it out there. So, yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Yay.
That's a great project. Jackie, how are you tonight?
I'm good, besides running around the house trying to find my headphones. But other than that, I'm doing really good. I've been working a lot. I've been stepping a lot up at work as well. So just keeping myself busy, not only with my regular day job, but also I think Andy saw I was really trying to promote our show tonight. So I was doing our new Instagram page, which is the Psychic Life on Instagram. So if you guys have an IG, ID with Instagram, go make sure you follow us. You should just be able to type in the Psychic Life. We'll pop up. We're right there. Really easy. So got that going for us. I think we got a few followers too. So just trying to get that up and running and getting as many followers as possible. So that's what I've been up to this week.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. We're really now we're getting real. We have at Instagram. I want to say hi to Londie. And Londie, how's it going with you?
It's going well. I feel a little inadequate next to everybody else because I haven't got anything going on right now. So, but that's okay. Sometimes a downtime is a good time. So.
Oh yeah. I'll be using you in the future and Andy for some missing persons cases. So that's going to be exciting. Maybe towards the end of summer or something, we'll get something going that will be phenomenal in the entire world. I did a missing persons case in Russia.
Oh,
so
wow.
we can work for anyone anywhere in the world and help out in finding what happened, who did it, and where to find them. So I can't wait to get going on that for sure. I do want to tell our viewers we do have a Friday show on Facebook on Psychic Fixes fan page. And that show is very different from this one. We engage a lot in talking to you guys. Jackie will be reading your comments and we'll be playing and laughing, having a lot of fun, giving a Starbucks this next time gift card away, and doing readings for you. So free readings there from Andy and I. And if we have a guest that's a medium or a psychic, we'll be going and doing using their talents and getting lots of readings done. And what a bonus to have 2 or more psychics give you a reading, and it's free. So do join us on Fridays for that, because we have a lot of fun. But Wednesdays are really great because we really get to give you insight as to some of the cases we're working on, as much as we can give public information, and what we do, a lot about how our validation, our ghost stories, our events that we're on. Now summer's coming, so I know that I'll be in the cemetery a lot and in some buildings, and I will do remote shows from there on location, and Londie might even be with me. And I know that will have some plans coming up too. So we're hoping to really get a lot of time that we get to show you not only like the paranormal investigation part, because we'll have guests that are specialists in that. We actually have some people lined up once they get back into town and such. A dream expert, a numerologist. We have a paranormal investigator. We want Janine to come on. She is an investigator and a medium. So we have a lot of people that are waiting to come on our show. So we'll get an insight to how their head works and all that, the projects that they're doing as well. But we kind of want to get into, let me look at the time. We want to get into a little bit about near-death experiences, and then maybe in 15 minutes, we'll go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor, IMTs. So, all right. So near-death experiences. I want to tell you just about my grandmother's, if I can right now, because I remember her telling me when I was a little girl, and throughout growing up, she would tell the story. My grandmother had a pregnancy, and it was a tubal pregnancy where it burst, and she died. And she died here in San Diego County at the hospital. And so they did what they had, toe tagged her, if you know what that means, to make sure they identify. Back then, they would tie a tag on the toe saying it was her. And they put her in, she said it was, I guess, a gurney, but it was a wicker basket, and it had sides. And she was in the basement. They took her down the basement, and she was dead. She was pronounced dead. They went in and told my grandfather that she was dead. And she woke up in the morgue and scared the you know, uh, the heck out of the guy that walked in. And she, you know, talked to him and raised up, and that was it for the guy. And all these doctors came down and verified she was alive and took her back up and then told my grandfather she was alive. Do you guys know about the bell in the coffins?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they have the people sitting there for what, a day or two to make sure that the people are dead. And they can ring the bell. They're going to dig them back up. So that just reminded me of that. So,
Dead ringer,
okay.
saved by the bell. Yeah.
And Saved by the Bell. There you go. So what happened is she said that she died. And now, according to my grandmother, she was like dead for 45 minutes. Okay. So she went, and I would think the process of moving her body, my grandfather said goodbye, she went down into the basement, would take that long, at least. So she said that she, you know, the white light, the whole thing, but what she saw was a golden staircase, and it went up into the sky. And I really am upset with myself because she told me how many steps it took to get to heaven. And I think it was like 300 whatever, but she went step by step and she counted them. And I hope that isn't like a number I'm supposed to know. But she went up the golden stairs to heaven, and she got to the pearly gates, and there was actually it was Jesus. I don't know that it was St. Peter, but it was Jesus. And when she got all the way up there, he said, "It's not your time, go back." So she turned around and she said she walked down and counted the steps all the way down. And when she got to the last step, she woke up in the morgue. So that was her experience in heaven. She didn't even get into heaven, guys. She was told, turn back. You know, she didn't get through the gates. So that was amazing. But she said, she said, as clear as can be in the most beautiful golden stairs. And Jackie, that was Grandma Jenkins. Oh, wow. So Jackie's my great niece, so I got to explain to her who that was in our family. So to me, you always hear these people that see like the tunnel. You have people that just, you know, they float up on clouds, or they instantly see people that they know, but some say the most vivid colors. So there's a lot of different stories of it. I think one of the most common is going the light in the tunnel. Now, so the first time that I, because there's 2 near deaths for me, so I'm like, what's going on? I was in a boating accident at 4 years old, and I couldn't swim, and the ignition was rigged to blow up. And when the guy hit the ignition, I was in the engine room with the little boy, and my mother called me out, and I took a few steps to the doorway. The little boy was at the engine when it blew up, and the fire came out behind me and through me and into the boat. And so I was walking out to get a life preserver on, and so we didn't have time. So my mother threw my sister out and then grabbed me, and my legs were on fire and she was on fire, and she just threw, and then she jumped out. So I am flailing in the water, and I remember seeing the little ants, you know, on the beach and stuff, which were people. And I struggled. You know, that dog paddling, I struggled and I struggled and I struggled, and then I surrendered. The most peaceful thing ever. And as I went under, I saw light, but it was the sun through the water. And I just let it go. I just you know, accepted it. I let it go. And I was just rudely awakened by being grabbed and pulled up and taking a breath. And so I came pretty close that time, but the brink of it was that surrendering that just was peace. I didn't get close enough because I hadn't swallowed water or anything, but I didn't get close enough to probably have any spirits come or an angel to get my soul or anything like that. But it was the brink of just the serenity. And I remember that. And it was just really peaceful. And I remember that part of it. Now I'm going to tell my last story later on, but because it's important as a mediumship and psychic, what happened to me with that one. But one of the kind of interesting stories that I've ever heard was Londie's story. And so, Londie, what is your take about near-death experiences or going to the other side?
I know I've come very, very close from my experience. In I've seen too many. I've read too many things. I've seen too many stories of people who have died and gone to the other side. The most famous ones are like the little kids who have gone over and spoken with everybody and then come back, and then they've got this beautiful message. The other one is, well, I don't think she had a near-death experience, though, but she had an experience, and it's the girl who does the amazing paintings and portraits, and she did Jesus when she was, what, like 7 or 8 years old, and it looked like somebody who 50 years old could not reproduce what she did. It is absolutely the most beautiful thing in the world. But she says that she had one-on-one with them at one point. And so it makes me wonder if that wasn't a near-death experience from the amount of detail that she had in it. The other children, the little girl who fell down in a tree, who was really, really ill. There's been a movie made of it. And when she fell down into the tree, she remembered having been going to heaven, talking to Jesus, walking around with him and everything. And he said, don't worry, you're going to go back and everything's going to be fine. You're going to be healed. Everything will be fine. And that very same day, the little girl was healed of everything that was wrong with her. And she was in misery. And if you haven't seen that movie, it's an absolutely amazing movie to watch. But my own, do you want me to tell my own experience then, Debbie? Is that what you would like?
Yeah. I just want to add that the movie Heaven is for Reals, I think the little boy's name was Colton.
Yes.
That was amazing because he describes heaven, and I think he was like sitting in Jesus's lap or whatever.
Yes.
Everything. It was just amazing. Yeah, so I'd love for everyone to, if you were willing to share that, absolutely.
This happened about 1979 to me. I had both of my children, and I wasn't the healthiest of persons back then even, but I had a lot of uterine issues that needed to be taken care of. And so I struggled with the thought of it, but I decided that I would go ahead and have a hysterectomy done. But I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and I'm like, Lord, if this isn't the right thing to do, let me know and all that. Well, that did not happen. Evidently it was the right thing for me to do. However, upon going to the hospital and everything, I just prayed all day long. And the first thing I remember after the surgery was it was like I was in the hospital bed, but everything was totally black. Everything was totally black. But there was a huge white sword with the most beautiful gilded handle on it I have ever seen in my life. And it was flashing back and forth like this. And it said, I am the truth, booming in my ears. I am the truth, the light, and the way, and whosoever believeth in me shall not perish, but shall have everlasting life. And I went, and at that moment, it was just like electricity went right from the toes up to my head, and I was awake. What I did not know was my blood pressure had gone completely south, and they struggled to get me up and around because they had come in. Evidently, I don't think I coded, but there was evidently some reason why they came in the room, and they saw that I was having an issue, and they said that my blood pressure was so low that I I was almost dead. And I was like, oh, well, okay, then I made it through that one because I had the 2 kids at home. I wasn't ready to go, number one. But there wasn't any, I wish I could say that there was a tunnel, that there was something like that. But instead, I saw this flashing sword. I later found out that the name of the angel who uses the flashing sword is named Uriel, or Uriel, as some people have him named, and that Uriel is the person or the angel who uses to keep, one of the angels that keeps, because I think there's 2 angels actually that block the entrance to the Garden of Eden, is what the story is. And so I was always confused whenever it happened, but it was so realistic, so very ultra more than realistic, that the sound stayed in my head for years. It's something you just don't get rid of. I mean, when you've heard that, it's an amazing thing. When you've seen something of that magnitude, it was not just a white sword. It was like fire white, flashing back and forth. And that was enough to just, make me believe that there was something else. Just make me believe that there was something else, because it came out of nowhere. And sure, I'd been praying and everything, but that kind of stuff, that was not even on my mind. And actually I thought, well, somebody will come in the last minute and say, no, you don't have to go ahead and do this, but that did not happen. I was supposed to go ahead and have it, but I was given word afterwards then that everything was going to be okay. And that this, as long as I kept believing, everything's going to be fine. And so I've used that all my life in my personal spiritual life, because it was such a moving experience, number one, and because it really speaks to the fact that there is more out there. I had experiences in psychic experience from time I was just a little bitty girl, and my mother used to, much to her chagrin, I said this on the show I was on last time, but she's like, you're not supposed to do this because it's against the church, it's against everything, and you're not supposed to. And I was like, but Mom, it's like, I honest to God thought I was having one-on-ones with heaven, because I felt like I was talking with angels. I felt like I was, but she was like, no, you're not supposed to do that. It's against all the rules. It says in the Bible, that's evil. And I'm like, how can I be evil? I'm like 4 years old, 5 years old, but that was what her attitude was. But all through there, the experience from the time that I had it in 1979 until today, it's just like, bam, it's total recall of the exact experience, and just completely reliving it every time, because it was just ultra real is the only way to put it. So, and that was my experience.
I know how that is, because I had this booming, loud voice talk to me, and I can only explain it. It was like when I was young, like it was as loud as if you could be next to a jet engine.
Exactly.
And I used to be next to planes because of someone in my family's job, and it was just so roaring loud. And I still tell that story, and I'll never forget it. But that was the thing that just got to me, is like how loud that voice was that talked to me, and how clear. It was amazing, and you'd never forget.
Yeah, I had completely put aside all of my, if you want to call it a psychic ability or whatever, I'd set it aside because of the pressure from my family that it was evil and everything. After having had that surgery, it ramped up to a state that I never expected, and actually got to the point where I was like praying for it to be gone, because it was just like constantly being bombarded with information and not knowing how to process it, or who it was talking about, or, and it would be everything from premonitions to personal messages from people to somebody. And it's like, I don't know how to get a hold of these people. There was, and it was me going, Mom told me not to do this. Mom told me not to do this. And finally I prayed really hard about it. I really prayed hard about it. And I said, I don't know why you gave it to me, but you had to have a reason for it. I'm still struggling to this day, finding the exact purpose for it. because sometimes it feels like a parlor trick to me, almost like a mind reading kind of thing, as opposed to actual having a psychic experience. However, saying that, I've gone out on the ghost hunts, or not ghost hunts, but ghost investigations, paranormal investigations, I should say, and had such success in being and doing what I do that I know that I'm doing it for a reason. That was the big plus, I guess, is I learned from those experiences that, yeah, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But that was the other one that I had was the out of body experience, which was a strange thing because I actually felt like I was in heaven, looking over what do I want to call it? It's like a railing, the most beautiful marble railing that I've ever seen. And it was, how do I even put it? I was in labor. And when you're in labor, you kind of go, I just want to be somewhere else. And all of a sudden I was. And I was watching myself being in labor. And it was the most amazing experience to watch people around me and working on me and everything. And then all of a sudden it was like I crashed right back down and into my body. And it was the most horrendous experience, because when you've had that real high of being out of your body, and then all of a sudden going wham, that's the only time that's ever happened. I don't want people thinking, oh, you know what, she travels in her sleep. No, I've tried that. It doesn't work for me. But so that's my stories. I've got other ones that are family stories of near death, and I do mean near death. So if we have time, I'll get into those.
Well, I know what you mean about the thoughts that come in, because after the second time, it's and I've always been psychic. I always knew what was going to happen. Always lucky, all kinds of stuff like that. Could feel the energy, like force fields and stuff. And the second time, I was just kind of walking around, and then I hear all this stuff, and I go, well, come right into my head. And I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from? And it didn't stop. It's one thing when we think we get a random thought, but it kept coming and coming with the same message. And I thought, I can't tell that person. It was a terminally ill family member. I said, it's very trivial. I can't tell them this. I mean, this is stupid. But why is it going on? And it compelled me to go through and do what the message was. And then finally, when the family got together, I told them, and they all knew what I was talking about. And that's when I went, okay, something's going on.
Yeah.
But it's true, Londie. It keeps coming in.
It just keeps coming
in. The messages, and it's not stopped, you guys. It's not stopped in a decade of stuff still coming in and happening, where now I see the photographs, the spirits, the movies in color, the writing backwards, the writing that comes in. I mean, you name it. It's just like, the one time I was with a woman that had a family member that passed away, and I knew nothing. I was doing the reading when all of a sudden I saw this little slip of paper, like a Chinese fortune, come right in like this. And I'm like, well, that's new. And I look, and it typed in red, DAVID, period, just like from an old typewriter. And I go, I'm getting David. And she goes, that's his name. That was my husband. That's his name. And then I was like, well, that was new. So the neat thing is like, God gives us these gifts, but when we get to a certain age and or psychic ability in development or near-death experiences, this stuff comes in. It's just like crazy stuff.
Maybe we were born before God started putting instruction booklets with our gifts, because it would have been so much easier had there been instruction booklets on how to use whatever it is that he gave you. So
I think the thing too I want to say is Londie and I have kind of a special connection, and it's just kind of amazing how we ended up meeting. She came to a meeting at my house, opened the door, and I literally said, "Well, it's about time." But when we are trying to, you know, I have something on my mind or whatever, and I just said, "You tell me, you tell me,"
Yeah.
and she'll say it. We were doing this one reading, and it's just amazing. Well, the serious reading we did, I knew something, how somebody died, and I just looked at her out of the group and I said, get it from me, get it from me. And she said he hung himself. I said, bingo, you got it. So, but we pull all kinds of stuff out of our heads, and it's just like, I don't know what the connection is, but it's definitely there. When I do classes, I can pair people up that will play with the Zener cards and get 100% people, 100% when one person's doing it and then the other person does it. Look at the wavy lines, the circle, the triangle, whatever, 100%. And they do like 15 and then 15. That's amazing.
Yes,
and the only other person I have that bond with is my sister, who we did 13 in a row just for fun, and then she got scared and said, "I don't want to do it anymore."
I used to take I think it was 12 cards. No, wait, how did I do it? I think it was 9 cards, because I would take different cards from a regular deck, and then I would take like a different suit that would match those cards. And so I would lay one set of cards, mix, I would shuffle them up. This is the easy way, folks, if you want to try your psychic ability. Shuffle them all up, lay down the first 9 cards, face down, okay? And then I would take the other deck that I had, this little deck of cards, shuffle them up, keep those face down in front of me, pick them up one at a time, not look at them, hold one in one hand, take the other one, and just kind of put my hand over the top of the cards to find where I felt that it was supposed to land. And it kind of got scary because I was like, okay, well, this works really. I had my daughter do it, and I thought my eldest daughter was going to be the psychic in my family. And instead, the younger daughter seems to have that ability, but she won't have anything to do with it. She's like, eh. So I think someday, sooner or later, it's going to just come back to in spades on her sometime, and she's going to just be, very, very psychic. But anyway, and the first, I got to tell you real quick about Debbie. The first, what brought me over to Debbie's house was I don't even know. It came from nowhere, and I got a thing that said, you should sign up for Meet Me, I think is what it was. Is that the name of it, Debbie? I can't remember. It's Meetup. And I'm like, okay, yeah, Meet Me. I think that's dating. No, I don't want to do that. Larry wouldn't allow it after all these years. He might allow it, but I don't know. Anyway, it was Meetup. And so I had been, when we moved out here, one of the things I kept telling myself was, San Diego has an awful lot of paranormal investigators and things there. Maybe that would be the community for me to finally reach out and start seeing what I could do with this stuff. And I got my account, got set up and everything. First person I run across was the picture of Debbie. And I went, bam, that's the one I'm supposed to be with. And I didn't get to go for like about the first 3 months, and I kept going, I gotta go. Kept making excuses because I knew once I got with her that we weren't going to be apart. And I thought, I don't know if I want to do that to that nice looking woman that was there, because having to deal with me on a regular basis is always a real treat. But anyway, we were brought together in miraculous ways, to say the least. And then I think the things that have happened between us has been absolutely miraculous since we've been together. So, and I love her.
Yeah, when we do investigations and things like that, it's really nice because you have somebody that goes right along and you're getting both the validation. Now, Londie was with me when we did this 4-story theater, and she was amazing in bringing in the little children and seeing them, getting the story, communicating with them. And it was really interesting to bring in the spirits like that. And so that was so helpful to have that happening. So
and on the rooftop, that was some of the most amazing was up on the rooftop too, whenever we were up there that one time. And there were like messages coming in like right and left. And we had Sean and I forget who else. Lena was with us and I forget who else.
Glory, everybody.
But it was absolutely crazy what was going on up there. And the feeling was incredible. It was the energy that was on top of that building was just incredible.
Well, we found out that that's where they took the kids for recreational things.
So that's why the kids kept coming through, huh?
The first time I went up there, though, I saw the teenager that was a jumper. He wanted to jump. Yeah. That was so sad.
And that was what sobbing. Yeah. And then I saw a jumper and I said something to you and you said, that's the guy that I saw before. And I was like, okay, then I'm on the right. Because that's how I verify me, is by asking Debbie what her experience is. And she goes, yeah, I already did that. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, we need to take just a little bit of break. Andy, if you could tell us about our sponsor.
Oh, yes. Let's see. So tonight's sponsor, the live video is brought to you, sponsored by Intuitive Healing. And in the link below the video, you'll see the Facebook link to their page, also their website. And it's called IMTs, TEAS. So this is organic tea that's infused with healing energy properties. What's great about it is this is something that is, I have never heard of anything like this out there. And this company infuses like healing energy into it. And I'm looking at the page right now and they've got all sorts of different kinds. They have I am grounded, or I am that I am love, I am a dreamer. And it was created to, shine the light upon the individual spiritual path. So it looks amazing.
It's really good. My friend Adrian developed the tea, and he uses crystals, and he's a Reiki master of 2 different, I guess, modalities of it. And he has just made this incredible organic teas. And he's been so good to me because he will give me so many nice samples to give out at all my meetups and stuff. And it is really good. That I think it's I Am That I Am. That it? That is my favorite. And they're beautiful. Oh my goodness, you could like put them in as potpourri. They're absolutely beautiful, 100% organic, and just lovely. So if you really want some special energy infused and healing or whatever, like being grounded or whatever, the dreamer one, do go and order from him. It's just absolutely fabulous. And we want to thank them so much for sponsoring our show tonight. It's so absolutely wonderful. We'll see. We have about 15 more minutes. I do want to give one more little thing about a near death from one of my friends. And she actually had severe blood loss. And it was where they've never had anybody that ever came back from having just that much blood volume left in their body. But afterwards, she doesn't have a story about a tunnel or anything like that, but something happened after. And she came back and everything. And then she was somewhere and she looked and she goes, oh, whoa, that's an angel. Yep, that's an angel. And she sees angels and she talks to them and all of that. She communicates. And she doesn't see anything else, but she sees angels now. And I thought that was amazing. Now, this lady has psychic ability, and I've never known her to be wrong. Never. It's just amazing. And so when she says something, I listen. I really know that it's going to come to pass. But I thought that was amazing that this happened, and all of a sudden she sees angels. And I've heard other people that have had trauma in their lives of some other sorts, like a emotional trauma, and then all of a sudden start seeing angels. And now let's just talk about Sylvia Brown. She didn't see them forever. And she said she was walking, if I get it right, guys, she was walking through her house, went into the kitchen, and she's like, there was this big angel because they're supposed to be like, what, 9 feet tall or whatever. And I love you, angels. I don't see you, but I love you. And the funny thing was, if I remember the story right, she did not acknowledge them, the angel. You know, it's like don't look in their eyes or whatever it was. she she didn't do that. And I'm like, if I, whenever I see any kind of entity that's forming or I see them, I'm like up there, put my hand through them, asking them questions. But she was like, like, why? You're Sylvia Brown. Why wouldn't you say hi to the angel? Thanks for being here. What's your name? Whatever. But anyway, so I thought that was amazing that she sees them. Now, she started when you get touched by an angel, so to speak, when you get this psychic stuff that happens, you start looking for places to, what is this? What's going on with me in this? So she started taking a healing class, and she took a Reiki class. And during Reiki class, she will see where they're, giving healing to different people. And she'll be looking and she'll say they would see an angel there helping to heal one of the students, with a Reiki person. And it's just amazing. I'm just like, it's like another world. And there's so much out there, and we don't get to experience all of it. We all have, we have limitations. We have this great gift that keeps coming and coming, but yet I don't see an angel. I see spirits, but I don't see an angel. So, I guess I'll have to wait till I'm on the other side to find out what it is all about. But it's amazing to me. And this is why I like having a group where we have different people together that have different talents, because they could say, oh, I see an angel right there. Oh, cool. Who is it? And that type of thing. But it's just amazing, all the different things that come with near-death experiences.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you a real short one that I was going to say? It was about my father, who had a little sister. She was only like about 2-3 years old, and she developed diphtheria. This was down in Missouri back whenever there were very, very few even doctors in the vicinity or whatever. And she was getting ready to die. But before she died, she said, oh, look at all the pretty little babies. And then she died. And it still makes me just go shuddering all through me, because it's like, I think it was little angels that came to pick her up, and it's like, oh my gosh, it had to be cherubs or something that must have, because of that. And he said she just closed her eyes and she was gone. And he was there whenever it happened. I had an uncle who passed, and I've heard this several times from people. And tell me if you've heard the same thing, where when he started to pass, he actually put his arms up because he saw somebody and he was towards them. And that always just absolutely amazes me. I think, if I remember the story right, and cousins, if you watch this and I get it wrong, please let me know. My understanding was he actually sat up in the bed, reached, and I don't know if he said anything or not, but then all of a sudden he just laid right back down and he was gone. But he was reaching for somebody. So it was terrible. Mm-hmm. Well, or sweet, I guess is terrible because I don't know what it was that he was reaching for, but but I've heard
my grandmother was doing that. Her arms were going up, and she was kind of in a coma. And of course, they're telling us it's reflexes or whatever, but she was reaching, and they finally restrained her. And I'm like, let her reach, but yeah, my dad, before he passed, a few weeks before he passed, he was talking to my mom. So it's such a, we have to be skeptics too. We have to say, is it that medication? Is it hallucinations, or were they really there? So it's hard to say. But when the people die and they come back and they have this great story, we have to really look at it, especially the people that float up and go for, a drive in the air, and they look down and see what people are doing. Then they come back to their body, astral project, and can tell you what they saw and what was going on. How did they know that? And Elizabeth Taylor's story was that she died for that 7 minutes or whatever, but she went through the tunnel and she saw Mike Todd, and he's the one who told her that she had to go back. And that was really sad to her, but she did go back and woke up. So, but she said it was so clear that she knew that this was absolutely real. So it's so interesting. Andy, did you come across any stories?
Yeah, I have a quick one. Well, I have one that always fascinated me from the television series Unsolved Mysteries. Just a huge fan. There's one. This guy's name is, well, it's very public. You can find it anywhere, but his name's Howard, and I think he was outside of the country. He had like a perforated bowel, or intestine or something. And then the doctor that was supposed to see him wasn't available until 9 o'clock that evening. And he was with his wife, and his wife was like, "Hey, it's going to be okay." Well, he had just told her goodbye, and he passed out because he felt like he was going to die. Like, that's it. So I don't know if it was through pain that he passed out. But what happened was he was living from what he describes as a very arrogant life prior to this happening. And when he went to the other side, he heard he had seen his body, I believe, outside of the hospital room. So he was having OBE, out of body experience, for the viewers here. And he heard voices calling to him, and these voices were saying, "Howard, come here, come here, come here." And these were like, what it sounded like was like demonic voices tearing at his flesh and this and that. I know it sounds morbid, but this is his story. And he started praying, and he must have heard an angelic voice as well saying, "Use the name of God." And then also he said the Pledge of Allegiance. And then as he was doing that, these spirits would retreat from him. And he ended up, it changed his life. He came to, became a minister. I think he repaired his relationships with his children. So it was really a fascinating story. The other small little, this isn't really an out of near-death experience, but through mediumship, I've connected to a living person that was suffering. This is a friend of mine. His mother was suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia, late stage. And as I connected to her, I could see her as if, and again, this sounds morbid, but this is what I saw. It looked like she was peeling her body off of her spirit, like she was trying to get out of her skin so she could leave, as if she was ready to go, but her physical body would not allow her to cross. And I shared that with my friend, and I have never seen anything like that before, but I don't know if that was a sign that she was going to pass soon or what, but I shared it.
She was ready. She was ready. So I think a lot of people, will recount that they had smelled fire and brimstone,
Mm.
and they were in hell, type of thing. And then that scared them enough to, go on the straight and narrow when they came out. But a lot of them will, have said that they've gone to hell, and that's got to be scary as anything. I do want to tell you that I just watched or read a little story about this woman. I thought it was interesting because she actually went to the other side, and they told her, you can decide, you can go back or you can go to heaven, and they told her, she like looked at her, knew what she did wrong and everything in life. She had that examination, and then they said, okay, you can do whatever. And they said, but if you go back, you'll go back, we'll totally heal you right away. So she chose to go back. And her story was that when she woke up and everything, they were just so surprised because they thought she was going to die. I mean, she died and came back, and then she had terminal cancer, people. She had everything shut down, and she came back and she got her health back and everything, and then was fine. So she had that promise from God that if you go back, you're going to be okay. We are going to heal you like that. And she said it was a very, very, very fast days. And she got better, 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 and then remission and completely healed of the cancer. And she had died from it. So I thought that was really crazy, type of thing. But it does happen. There's a million stories out there, I guess, of near-death experiences. And I'm really glad that, we touched on it today. And I know we'll be talking about it in the future, but it's just like so fantastic. So the second time that I came close to dying was blood loss also. But what resulted was having all my psychic ability just get bazillion fold and come on in, and it keeps coming in, and it just surprises me. And so I feel, I don't know what the connection is when your body gets close to heaven, but that's when knowing comes, that's when abilities come, that's when you have that touch and you get to see the angels, in this side. So it's amazing how it works, and we don't know everything, but I can tell you 100% honestly, there is something going on, and it's to me always a miracle. I think it's a miracle. But when we get close, you get touched, you get something, a profound experience, you get gifts from God, or you get to, have those experiences of seeing or hearing people on the other side. So it's amazing. So we're getting close to the time. Any last thoughts? Let's go with Londie.
I think the biggest thing that I would like to tell people is to not be afraid. That's the one thing that I got out of my experience. And I think that that's the majority of people who come back after having had, and I think even in your case, there's a peace that happens that you can't even begin to describe. Initially, your body goes into a shock, and you're terrified. And then all of a sudden, there's this release of peace that you just can't even begin to. So my major message to people is, don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid.
Oh, thank you, Londie. Andy?
I'm definitely jealous. No.
I'm like, you don't want to go that way to be able to see an angel or anything. No.
The only thing I would like to add is, my experience probably wasn't, I don't think it was a near death, but it sure felt like it. And that's when I had my seizure in Las Vegas. in the bodies exhibit of all places in Bally's. Yeah. And I thought I was getting attacked by things because I had never had a seizure in my life, that I was aware of. But out cold, I mean, I don't remember anything, but it was the worst pain ever, in seeing colors. And apparently I acted consciously, but I wasn't. That was probably the closest. Being hit by a car one time, almost being ran over by a car. So I mean, I've come close that way, but not in the sense of being out of my body and remembering anything. So
as far as where you were in Vegas and the seizure coming on, so you were in an exhibit that was pretty gruesome anyway.
yeah.
Maybe not to some, but pretty gruesome.
And with
Now,
spirit.
when I had the boating accident, and got, saved, I had a man come out and get me, and I have a blackout, a block from there. And when I woke up, I was talking. I was conscious. I was talking to some lady, and I had no idea there was pain or I was burnt up. Nobody thought I was burnt up. They thought I was fine. And then when I woke up, it hit me. And so that we're going to call shock. So I'd be open-minded as to what happened when you were there, as to being dehydrated or is what you were looking at type of thing. But I think we have to look at both sides of it, possibly
Right.
that, because I was talking like crazy and everything and woke up and I'm like, words were coming out of my mouth while I was, talking, sitting there. And I'm like, what words were those?
But the other thing about that display is the fact that they were human beings and they were sliced in little tiny pieces. They had, and so it's like there's still spirit attached to. They can tell me all they want to that that the body separates and everything, but there's still sometimes that a spirit doesn't leave the body like it's supposed to and can stay with the body. And so sometimes, and I think even in your case, Andy, I mean, you've been a work in progress for a while where your level of abilities have increased and increased and increased. And that may have been the real beginning of you being touched by an angel, so to speak. You never know.
Yeah, which is, I just wanted to add to what you were saying. From what I heard was that these people apparently were donated to science, but it sounded like there was a lot of anger behind that. And then also, my partner was there who caught me at the right time. He actually found me right before it happened, so I grabbed onto him. And he said this wonderful lady came up to help, and she just appeared out of nowhere, an actual person, and then disappeared. So he couldn't even thank her. And I hear about that stuff, and she told him what to do, and like, don't be afraid. This is what you do. Tilt his head and all this stuff. And so I think you're spot on with that, because I think she was the angel there too.
It was an earth angel.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we need to wrap up, and I want to show everybody our book. This is just a proof copy that we have to look at and okay. I think we have a couple things to fix on it, but it's beautiful copy of our book. Nice book, and I love the inside, and I think everybody's going to love these true stories of encounters with entities. And we are going to have a book party. Can you talk about that for a minute, Andy?
Yeah. So it's going to be it's a Friday. It's going to be a Friday show. I believe June 1st.
Second?
Or second?
First.
First?
First?
Is it?
First. Friday the 1st.
Okay.
First.
And we are going to be dressing up. We're going to bring on our friends. So anybody that wants to celebrate will be in collaboration on the screen here with their own box. And I'm going to wear I guess a dress coat, and
I
I gotta figure it out. But I know my color. I'm gonna wear purple, and then we're gonna have our own treats, dark blue and silver to balloons to match the book cover. Maybe black too. Who knows? Yeah, that's my plan. But
We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to give away gift cards. It's going to be one of our Friday shows, which is a lot of fun. And we do free readings, so I'm sure that we'll do some there. But we're going to have some of the people on with us. As you see, we have four of us today. We're going to have some of the people whose stories are actually in the book with us, so they could talk a little bit. We're not going to give all their stories away, but a little bit about some of the stories, parts of the stories that are scary during the party. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Please mark and even join us this Friday, because they're always a fun time. I want to let you know that Andy and I do readings, and I think Andy will have a link to where he does readings. You can always private message me if you'd like a reading with me and get more information from both of us. I currently have an offer. If you go to Psychic Fix's fan page, you can click on offers and see my special offer. And I hope, Andy, that you'll put one in too, so that we'll have some kind of specials going for all of our great viewers. That's everything I have. Did I miss anything? No. Okay, well, it's time to say goodbye and to thank Londie so much for being with us again.
Thank you, Londie.
Thank you, Andy. Jacqueline, it's wonderful.
Nice to meet you, Jackie.
Nice. Love you guys too.
Love you, Jackie.
I'm going to put you to work on Friday.
You'll put me to what? This wasn't work? And you guys, I just do free entertainment. That's my offer.
You and me both, Jackie.
She gets to give away the gift cards. So come on, that's good too. She keeps us so connected to the viewers and what their questions are, and keeping it, we want to try to give a reading to as many people as we can. And Jackie's the one who finds the readings in order and tells us what they are, so we can immediately go and connect and get the information and talk to everybody till we get connected to them and their loved one or whatever the situation is. Then we come back and we tell everyone. So
Londie, you'll have to join us sometime.
Yeah.
And
please do a Friday.
Yeah, that would be fun.
We have lots of fun on Fridays.
You tell me.
Heck, I'll show up. You know me, I never miss a party if I can.
Fridays are a lot of fun. So we're going to go to the lobby, everybody, and we want to say goodbye to the viewers so much.
We'll see everybody next week.